Dear Mama, you have so many questions, but not enough answers. You wish you didn't have to ask, and that's why I'm writing you this letter. You're not alone, you're not crazy, and I hope this helps. I see you because I am you. Sincerely, Mama. Hey, Mama, hey. You're tuned in to Sincerely Mama podcast, where we've created a safe space for us to share all things motherhood. No magical motherhood, just realistic motherhood. I'm your host, Jackie Bobbitt, millennial mom, entrepreneur, and purpose coach. I am so glad that you've joined us today. Today, we are just kind of walking through the beginning stages of grief. So I'm no counselor. I am a big fan of going through things as they come, right? And so what perfect way to dive into this than me be the first, right? So initially this was an episode that I had planned for someone to come in, but I didn't think that I would be experiencing that. But since I am, I wanted to go ahead and give the raw first feelings. I wanted to give the raw first feelings and lay it all out there, okay? So today is Friday and Monday, so not even a whole week ago, my father-in-law passed. My husband's dad passed. And it is a roller coaster. You know, the process of going through grief, it is a roller coaster. It looks different for everybody, and it has looked really crazy for me. And so while we thought we were preparing for this, it's just no way to prepare for somebody leaving your life that you thought would always be there. And so I didn't think that it would hit me immediately, but it did. Hit me immediately. And of course, I was rushed with emotions and a bunch of questions and just trying to figure out why, and especially as a believer, you always want to wonder, or you always want to know just why, like why certain things happen. And I am still working through that. I am aware that, God is with us, that God is near us, that He is near the brokenhearted. And I know all the right things to say, but it's still a process going through this. And so it's been interesting. But I've realized how, you have to encourage yourself, because sometimes you get so overwhelmed with text messages and calls and people commenting on your post that it's overwhelming. And so I've tried to find the light in all of this, and I wanted to just share some of his life, some of why we really love him and why this is such a hard pill to swallow, because he was such an amazing person. He was just such an amazing person. And you know how people say that about their loved ones, but no, he really was an amazing person. Even people that aren't related to him, people that kind of saw him in passing, they all echo the same testimony. He was an amazing person. He stood for God, for family, and for love. And so it was just a gift to get to know him for the short years that I have. And one thing that I wanted to encourage myself and you to do or not to do is not allow grief to steal the good times. So don't allow grief to rob you of the good memories, because you know how sometimes, especially initially, you can just go down this rabbit hole of wondering why they aren't here anymore and wanting to know what life would be like. How do we go on? What do we do from here? And how is life gonna look without them? You get bogged down with those thoughts that the memories of them or with them start to slip away. And it's crazy because a friend of mine, she and I were just having this conversation because she was having those same feelings, and this was before the passing of our pop. But she was saying the same thing, that it was almost like she was forgetting some experiences that she had shared with her loved one because she was so caught up in thinking, wow, I wish she was here. And so I wanted to encourage myself and you to not allow grief to rob you of the memories that you do have with them, the experiences that you did share with them. And so I just think about so many great times that we had, so many great laughs that we had, and how Pop had a way of making everybody feel so special. Like, he had a way of making everybody feel like you were his favorite. And so it was just, you wanted to be around him. You wanted to kind of, show off for him because he just had a way of making you feel like you were his favorite. And so I thought I could cook a little bit. And so he's tasted many of my meals, many of my pastries, and he really loves pound cake. Really loves pound cake. I have perfected a pound cake recipe. He loves it. But there was this one time that I made a meal. Now, I was so proud of it. I did fried chicken, I did collard greens, I did macaroni, a sweet potato pie, and cornbread, I think. And so I laid out this spread because they are country to the bone. Okay? They are from the country. They breathe country. So I thought making this home style meal was just gonna wow him, right? Well, not exactly. So we all sit down to eat. And I notice usually when Pop tastes my food, he'll go ahead and tell me, "A little bit, this is good." And so I didn't hear that. So 10, 15 minutes had gone by and I hadn't heard that yet. So I was like, "Pop, how's the food?" And he said, "Salty, I know that." and, so, and so I was totally caught off guard because, much like my husband, he gets it from his dad. They don't rock the boat. They don't rock the boat. They are just really sweet with their words. And so I just was not expecting him to not affirm me with this meal. And then he goes on to say I hadn't had salt in 20 years and that those greens were filled with salt. And I'm thinking, what just happened? I'm like, I thought I was seasoning everything perfectly. Everybody else is and down, and then Pop just was not satisfied. So that was just hilarious to me. And we still laugh about that today. I brought that memory up this week, and everybody was tripping out because they know that that sounded much like Pop. But we have tons and tons of memories, and my son is named after his grandfather. So his grandfather's first name is James, and my son's middle name is Jameson. And we did that to honor his dad because he's just such an amazing person. And anytime you talk to him, he just breathes God, family, and love. And so it's been interesting to watch as people come in on posts or make phone calls or text messages and share what an impact he's made and how that's what he stood for. They're all saying the same thing, that he stood for God, family, and love. And I was just like, what What a life to live. What a testimony for your life to echo God, family, and love. And so I know he'll hear God say it, but Pop, well done. Well done. And it's just been interesting and humbling to hear people continue to share what we already know about him. And so we're, of course, pacing ourselves through this. It is such a weird time. It feels like a bad dream. It feels like maybe this is gonna be different tomorrow, but I don't know. You spend so much time with somebody, and then it's just difficult to imagine them not being here for other moments. And so it's been interesting. It's been interesting to say the least, especially to hear the children ask for Pawpaw, to say, I want to be with Pawpaw, or, oh, where's Pawpaw? And not knowing how to have that conversation. So it's been interesting. But in true Jackie fashion, I don't want to get on here and pretend. I want to always strive for authenticity in motherhood, and grief is something that you will experience at some point in life, and I haven't experienced this type of grief before. I haven't navigated through this before, so it's different for me, which is why I was going to bring somebody on the show to talk about it. And I still am, especially somebody that is further along in the process, and just to share how that looks. But, to lose a loved one is just, it's different. I hadn't experienced this in a long time. And so it's just different, especially now having to navigate that as a mom and not knowing how to have those conversations with the children. But I will always cherish the moments that we've shared with him. I am sure I'm going to come on here and talk about him again, because he was just so amazing, just always loving, just always pointing you back to Jesus, just always striving for family, to be intentional about hanging out, to be intentional about making memories, traveling the world and being together. And one of my aunt-in-laws, Kevin's aunt, which is affectionately my aunt as well, but she and I were having a conversation, and she shared the way you honor someone is you do things that they would have done. And I thought about that, and I just kept thinking about that, because it just kind of sat, it gut punched me. And I thought about what are some things that we can do, to honor him. And I know first that would be to continue to strengthen our relationship with the Lord, continue to draw closer to God, but then also to continue to express the love of God. Not just say you have it, not just clap on Sunday morning and cheese in people's faces, but really express the love of God. And that's something that he did. And then lastly, to be intentional about family, because life is short. The word talks about, or the Bible talks about, life being but a vapor, being quick, being momentary. And, some people think that's cliche. Oh, life is short, life is short. But no, really, like, life is short. When you look, life passes so quickly that you should take every moment graciously and gratefully. And so those are ways that we can honor Pop. And I just wanted to take this time to honor him, just create a tribute to him. I would be so out of line if I just kept going without saying anything. And I am truly, truly grateful for having the time. And I know that so many people are going to miss him, his wife, his children, his friends, his siblings, all of his family members. They're truly going to miss him. But we're just grateful to be in the number of the people that really knew him and truly, truly loved him. And so I hope that this was beneficial in some way. I hope that you'll take the time to grieve your loved ones, that you'd pace yourself through the process, that you would give yourself grace, and that you would know that your process may not look like someone else's process, that you would give others grace. And I hope that you would give yourself permission to feel, that you would give yourself permission to be a human, but that you would also make room for God to be your strength. If he's our strength and our weakness, we'd have to actually show that weakness. He can't be strong in your strength, but in your weakness, he's made strong. And so I hope that you give yourself permission to be weak. And I hope you give yourself permission to process and move through this process. And I hope that you give yourself permission to continue to love and continue to hold on to those memories and experiences that you shared with those loved ones that have passed. And so I truly, truly pray for your strength. I truly pray for your understanding and your comfort. And I hope that you'd pray for us as well. And I hope that you'd share your experience with me. You can comment on this episode, or you can email me at hello.sincerelymama@gmail.com. I'd love to hear how you've been processing grief, and I'd love to share that with our community. So again, give yourself permission, but also don't allow grief to rob you of those memories. Continue to hold on to those memories. We'll see you next time. Fridays are so much better with you. We'll see you next time. Sincerely, Mama. Thank you so much for joining us. If you found this episode helpful, do me a favor and share it with another mama. Subscribe to this podcast and leave us a 5-star review. Also, connect with us on all social media platforms at Sincerely Mama Podcast. Remember, you're the best mama for your children. We'll see you next time. Sincerely, Mama.